Coco presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 80. It's a developer's journey into making cool stuff. I'm Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coco, a Philadelphia-based Coco Heads community focused on Apple development. That primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coco's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey. Woo! All right.
Nice.
And with that, Happy New Year's to both of you.
Yes, Happy New Year. We're back.
Feels like we've been away forever.
Yeah, it was a little long. Maybe we won't go quite that long.
Yeah.
It
was quite the vacation. I guess my question to you, at least our subject today, is, well, first, what do we think about where Apple and Apple development ecosystem is going for 2025? That would be the first thing I would be kind of curious about from the both of you. Where do you feel this space is going?
Waiting for Apple Intelligence to matter for developers.
Yes.
I mean, okay, so like where we are right now is we have a local model, right, that handles code completion-ish, right, for Xcode, which is, I would debate if it's that good at all. I think it's okay, but it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like Android Studio good, or even, I was thinking about what other program that came out that was like really nice code completion. Just it was very good at like anticipating what you were about to suggest. Like even Visual Studio VS Code does a reasonably good job these days doing that anticipation. I don't know. I think that's the one thing that I noticed in terms of as a developer. We haven't gotten like Swift assistance yet, as far as I know. An actual Copilot-esque version of like the Copilot extension, for example, which I have not tested.
I don't think so. We just have that really annoying code complete. I guess all LM stuff is kind of annoying code complete. It's hard. But I mean, like, the one that's in Xcode, I was, because I actually only recently, for like work, was able to upgrade my computer, like for the holiday, and I wasn't working on Apple stuff as much. So it's only like recently, and I was messing with it this last week, and it just keeps being annoying. It just keeps spurting out like completely unhelpful things sometimes. It just like hallucinates what it thinks I'm trying to do, and it's wrong most of the time. But then occasionally it'll be like, oh, okay, that just saved me like 5, 10 keystrokes, so I guess that helps.
Yeah, I don't know about you. You've been working Xcode a lot more recently, so
Yeah, not with Apple Intelligence turned on.
I got to turn it off. I think I'm going to turn it off.
Wait, your work device should be able to handle it, right? You
Yeah,
haven't
but
upgraded to Sequoia?
Apparently they're still telling us not to upgrade.
Okay. Yeah.
Still? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Still? Okay. Because we've been told not to upgrade to Sequoia at work, so it's...
The installation was terrifying, but that's usual for macOS updates.
Yeah,
Mine in particular it like looked like it froze for like 20 minutes.
Jeez.
I was like, oh God, please don't crash my work computer. Like I can't remote. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It worked out in the end fine, but it was just like Apple, their aiding tooling could use some improvements. I don't know, in testing. Like, don't terrify the end user. Don't terrify the guy upgrading his computer. That's what I'm saying.
I love the ones where they have like the constant rebooting and you're never sure.
Yeah, that's what happens. It like it reboots like 3 or 4 times. Like, is it broken?
No, what's funny is like it'll like give you like the progress bar, right?
Yeah.
On the black screen, and then you're like, all right, cool. It's like it's almost done, and then it does the whole like reboot, and then burn, and then it like it does it again, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe like takes like half the time, and then it does it again. You're just like, oh, I hope this is not one of those crazy loops. Eventually, it figures itself out, but yeah, I empathize tremendously.
We're all old school Mac users, so we're traumatized from the older days. In 2025, though, I agree though with Aaron that Apple Intelligence, I mean, it's not like it's behind schedule. It was always meant to take a while, but the marketing could maybe confuse the matter a little bit. But I'm hoping for I can't say the word though, the dingus intense. We went through this before we started recording. If I say the word, my HomePod's going to go off and mock me in the background.
Yes. Dingus. It'd be hilarious if there was a new program out. That's actually not a bad idea. If they're new, like a new hardware, an Android type hardware comes out, and like the Dingus version of that would be Dingus itself.
Oh my God.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so Apple Intelligence, what else do we feel as a developer? Like, obviously, like you said, the intents would be another thing.
Well, that's the big thing. That's the biggest thing.
That's kind of part of the whole Apple Intelligence thing of like it's supposed to be all rolled into the updated system intelligence where it knows all the stuff on your device and you can tap into that as a developer.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay. So like, I guess one of the question marks is because part of the contract in that relationship is that you have to also want to provide the system with things about your app, functionalities about your app, so that you can expose that to the system, for which then it could reveal itself in a variety of different ways, right?
Yeah.
A simple example would be like, okay, T-Mobile, give me my, I want my T-Mobile bill or whatever.
The simple example is T-Mobile.
I know.
I think
maybe because I'm thinking
Comcast.
about the bill right now, but
yeah, I just got an alert that says thank you for paying us.
Yes, thank you. I actually can appreciate that because at least
they thank me for the money,
for giving them all that money. Although it does allow me to alert me. It's like, wait, where did this extra amount come from? But the I guess then what's the current, like, because I kind of understand it how it works on the basic level, but like where are you thinking you'd want that to be improved upon?
Well, it doesn't exist yet, right? I want it to be good enough to make me buy an upgraded phone that actually can use it. So I still have a 14 Pro Max. So as I said before, last year, I think I'm hopeful that we'll have a system that lets you integrate your app into user workflows more, more smoothly through like voice command workflows, because that's like a major weakness of the platform. I don't know if this is really how it's going to end up working out, but it would be nice to be able to advertise little features in there. And then, if I have like a recipe app and I want to like, hey, I want to be able to look at the screen and be like, hey, Dingus, when I'm looking at like a web page or something, like save this recipe and have it know to do that and to like call the right intent to put it into my, my app or something like that. That might be too advanced, but that's like where I would hope it goes to. So you can just kind of have a natural conversation with your device and it just does the thing you expect it to with the app that you prefer.
Yeah, without having to be like explicit in your command, include the app name. Otherwise, it has no idea about your app.
Yeah, I heard that this is a problem. I was listening to one of those I think Relay FM podcasts. Is that what I'm thinking of? Anyway, I was thinking of one of those podcasts like productivity stuff, Mac guys. They were talking about, I think Todoist has that problem where the voice capture for putting things in doesn't work well because Dingus can't understand the word Todoist. It's like hard to, people pronounce it differently. I don't know if that's true because I don't use it, but I could bet it is because I have OmniFocus and I haven't tried the voice capture in a while, but it used to be flaky. Maybe it works better now.
It feels very prescribed in terms of how it's almost similar to like Alexa in terms of like how you need to phrase your requests.
Yeah, but that's what we want to avoid. That's the whole dream of having LLMs interpret the input. We'll see.
This goes back to like this conversation long time ago about maybe last year was like this whole universal UI that you've been sort of hinting at. I think that's kind of an interesting one thing that would be interesting to see is like how much can you integrate, for example, your workflow into other apps' workflows, and can they communicate with each other on the fly? Yeah,
like without having to go into the Shortcuts app and like set up a workflow. It's like you just ask for something. It's like, oh, well, you could do this, and it just suggests a workflow that's already built. And you just like run it, or even knows you've done it before, it just runs it.
That's a good place for Apple to experiment with this stuff because it would be nice to be able to open the Shortcuts app and then just ask it, like just with a voice command, just be like, hey, I want a shortcut that does this, 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 and this, and then have it kind of give you something to start with. Instead of having to, right now you have to go and search for the different actions among the different apps. You have to kind of know in advance what you're looking for to a degree, and it's just, there's a lot of room to simplify that. Again, that's the whole universal UI concept. It's not that it's always the best UI, I guess, for all situations, but that speaking is a universal concept, for humans, talking. And so if you can just talk to your computer and just ask it, I mean, that's why it was so futuristic in Star Trek. And that's why they made that joke in, was it Star Trek 4? He's like, hello, computer, talking to the Macintosh. Because talking to the computer feels like a natural thing you'd want to be able to do. I feel like we're close. We're close to being able to have some really half-implemented, broken, but still sort of useful implementation from Apple.
I mean, do you really feel like... I keep thinking, like, it feels strange, and maybe it's just me being an old curmudgeon, but to me, to talk to a computer with other people around, right? So if I'm in a cafe, like, how do I communicate? Like, I still have to enter a key. I still would want to enter that privately, right?
That's why you have that type to Siri.
Oh, go ahead.
Or the system should be smart enough to know what you want before you ask it.
Well, that's asking for a lot. This is not Android. We don't have Google money. Apple does have Google money.
Android.
Wait, they have more money.
Android users will probably debate that whether it knows or not.
That is always the ideal. You want it to just know in advance, but how? It needs context.
I guess it's kind of, if you're saying you're not at work and then where you are, what you're doing.
Well, think about all the features that are in there now. You have the focus modes, which are actually really cool, and because you can use them to trigger everything from like a different springboard layout, icon layout, to different kinds of notifications can come through or not come through for different apps. You can do that, and then apps themselves can respond in their user interface. OmniFocus does this. If you're in a focus mode, you open up OmniFocus. I think you can automatically go into a particular mode in the app. So you're only seeing what you want to see in that focus mode. And this stuff can be triggered by location and I think time. And like you can kind of automate it so that as you're going about your day, like you go near the grocery store or something and it'll like pop up a widget on your home screen for your grocery list. Like you can set all that stuff up. It's just a little tedious right now.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to go through all that setup.
Exactly. That's what I would hope for.
I didn't realize until I think Joe Cotelis was talking about that at our last meetup, where he was doing these custom, like you said, custom layouts for each focus mode, and I was like thinking, I forgot that was a thing. So it wasn't
because it's buried in the settings.
It's not a particularly well advertised feature. Even when you showed us at work the whole like, I can take Control Center and that like side tab bar can be configured because it's literally considered like a page, and I was like, I thought I was stuck with that.
No, they did mention that when they debuted it, but there's a lot of stuff like that in Apple, and that's a whole other discussion. Like, how do you let people know that these are things you can do without it becoming like a bunch of annoying, pop-ups or something? Yeah. Like it's difficult, and the user interface of an iPhone is mostly content focused, so it's just, I don't know, it's hard it's a hard problem, but Apple could definitely put some more effort into it, I think, because there's so many things the phone could do you don't know about.
I mean, it's almost like they're laying the groundwork for an eventual, if they ever wanted to flip that switch, they could create the universal UI, the dream UI, if you will.
I think they're doing that. Yeah. I think they're moving towards more and more automation, and they want Dingus to be the center of your universe in a lot of ways.
Like, I do agree, like, there is this feeling that I get from a lot of I feel like a lot of developers are still stuck in the app world, and they're not thinking too much about like widgets or live activity. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for years now.
Yeah.
But it's true though.
That was the same when I was doing web development, and then I slowly got into app development. And it was like nobody's going to use the apps.
Yeah, I mean, I think apps are like opening an app is still a thing most people are doing, but in the North America area anyway, we're still today in 2025 not big on those big chat apps that then have all the apps inside of them. What do they call those things? What was that famous article about it?
Super apps? Yeah,
like super apps. We're still not into super apps, even though, people keep trying to make them like, Elon wants to make X a super app, I think, which is good luck. And Facebook has tried in different ways in the past, but that still doesn't work. But the phone in North America anyway, and is itself increasingly feeling like it's app, like a super app. Because if you're on an Android phone or you're on an Apple phone, increasingly you can just kind of do things through things like the voice commands or through other widgets, through other kinds of means of extracting little functionality out of the individual apps and then using them contextually, better, more contextually appropriate ways. So I think the biggest thing for 2025, I think we all agree, is going to be Apple Intelligence going to live up to the hype of that debut at DubDub. Was it like it was a very impressive set of features that were promised, and we have not seen the really impressive ones at all yet. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
So you should expect it by next WWDC.
Yeah,
well, Kotaro, you got a new phone. Anything with the current stuff that you can use right now that's impressed you?
I think the object detection thing. So basically, what it is using is ChatGPT. But like, if you point to something, you press the camera button, you hold it, and you press it down, and you look at something, and then it'll take whatever you have in the camera, and you can ask it like, "What is it?" And then it will do a reasonable job of like giving you, like, you point it at a flower, and it'll tell you the type of flower it is, or you point it at some specific product, and it'll tell you what that is, give you a decent summary of it. So it's actually decent at that. The caveat is it's using ChatGPT, so that who knows where that data is actually going, and you're hoping that it gets deleted as quickly as possible. But whatever, right? Like, yeah. you kind of agree to it.
Are you signed into like a ChatGPT account with that, or is
you can? I'm using the free version, but you can actually connect to like.
But you had to sign up for a OpenAI account.
No,
not to use it.
Not to use it.
But you
can sign into it. Like, there's a part in the settings where you can sign in, so you might get the better model.
Yeah,
but I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, there's got to be limitations on the built-in free version, but I don't know what they are because I don't have a phone that can use it. But
you're not missing too much.
The other thing you have here on the notes, besides Apple Intelligence, is Vision OS. Well, Vision OS getting Apple Intelligence, which I think is an important thing. But anything else? You think this is going to be the year the Vision Pro takes off? I know people have said it's kind of some people have said it's a flop. I've seen that around the internet, but I don't think that's true.
I would say it's the year the Vision Pro gets a chip upgrade, maybe like
you think
5 or something. But I don't think it is the year that we get new hardware. The one thing that I will say is like the Vision OS still needs to be refined. It's great at the moment, but it still needs to be refined from a developer framework point of view. So I think I think Apple, anything 3D related, Apple sometimes has a little trouble and kind of leans on third-party support for like whether it be Unity or some other engine to handle, for developers to handle that. But now I think they've sort of realized to a certain extent, like, oh, we've got to do a little more heavy lifting to build the tools that can be close to get the kinds of 3D interactions or spatial interactions that they would need to do. So they would want to create more bespoke hand gesture recognizers or modifiers.
I want a built-in Hadouken detector.
Yes, that would be great. They would probably be better suited to have a better scene editor. So to create your 3D scenes, you need something to place all your 3D assets in, and then have like a way to like set events for these assets to do things when you do like, okay, I want this function to be called at this particular time. I want the sound to do at the same time. They kind of have something like that already in Reality Composer Pro, but it's still very
simplified. It's like bare bones.
It's not even like I think what's that service? Rive has better tooling. Yeah, Rive.
What's a big like game engine that people use that does that? That people would Unity have that kind of thing?
Unity would, but they had like a crisis.
Yeah, we don't need to rehash the Unity crisis, but I mean, like, what's the tool that, like, because it seems more like you talked before, it's a lot gaming concept. So what's one of the mainstream tools that does what Reality Composer Pro is trying to do that would be a touchstone for people familiar?
So they're using like their own AI toolkit. So I think they're called AI AR Foundations, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, they're using something called Polyspatial for specifically using, like, kind of converting it into iOS friendly frameworks.
You talking about Unity?
Talk about Unity.
Okay, yeah. So Unity or Godot maybe? That's a similar kind of thing.
Godot, it has that, but it's very like babyish.
Okay.
Like, it's still young.
So Unreal Engine we're talking.
Unreal Engine can do it, but it's not officially supported.
So what's the tool that a professional artist making a game would use in order to like set up the 3D asset in an environment?
You're stuck with Apple.
No. If you're making it not off the Apple platform, I'm just trying to find like a
Unity. Unity would be the thing.
Unity, okay. Or there's not like it's not like there's a Photoshop for this type of work that everybody uses, some third party.
Unity would be the Photoshop.
Unity.
You can use Unreal. Unreal has support for it. You can technically use Godot. Godot has decent support, but it's usually like for PC specific stuff.
So maybe Apple's attempt is not as bad as we think, because not a lot of other options.
If you're trying to make games, that's where it gets like dicey.
But we're not. I don't think most people are trying to make games on Vision Pro, or just like most people aren't trying to make games on most devices.
It's tough because I think games are what sells.
Yeah, the
VR stuff, and keep in mind, like this is AR and VR.
Yeah, that's where it gets awkward, because it's like I still think of the Vision Pro as an AR platform, ideally, and that we could do useful things in it besides just play video games. But you're right that like video games are what sell platforms like this, especially.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna put $3,500 into a platform,
you might as well have bought like a couple of Xboxes or something for that money.
Right, exactly. Like it's still cheaper to buy a PS5.
Buy like a dozen Switches. I mean, whatever they cost.
Still cheaper, but it's probably still cheaper to buy a PS5 Pro plus the headset.
Yeah,
and still come out way cheap, way better than cost wise than a Vision Pro, and I think the realization, at least for Apple, probably dawned on them, was like, yeah, this is probably nothing more than a glorified dev box. Yeah. It gives you a head start if you're a developer, and I think that's fine. But know that that's the cost of entry.
So also, I think something to think about 2025 is the hype train for the so-called AI, in air quotes, is still going strong. And
you know from Zuckerberg that apparently all the mediocre jobs are going to be gone?
Oh, is that what he said? All the mediocre jobs are doing?
Mediocre dev jobs.
But I mean, like but running models on device is obviously something Apple's been pushing, and with Apple Silicon, it seems more viable for Apple developers to be able to do that to an extent than at like a cheaper cost. And than the PC side. You could obviously get much better rigs on the PC side, much better video, GPU capacity, and you can set up some stuff. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like there's Apple offerings that you can get like a Mac Mini or something, and you can have enough power to be able to run decent, useful models and like open weight models, and then do interesting things locally. I've seen some people take some Mac Minis, for instance, and parallelize them together and get some better results too that way. And again, not as expensive as potentially getting, one of the high end, GPUs or something that you can't maybe even find. So I wonder if more, I guess, like local model development, or like using local models on Apple Silicon, is going to be a bigger thing besides the Apple's own model, is what I mean. Like Apple has their own stuff in there, but I wonder, like, I don't know how many people do it now, but I do see in our community some people talking about it, like running their own models. And I feel like Apple Silicon's a good platform for it.
The problem is that most models are optimized for NVIDIA CUDA.
Right. That's true. But,
didn't Apple release a few that were optimized for?
Yeah, I think they have a few, but like I think all of the big ones are. That's why NVIDIA has such high stock price.
Because the hype train.
The hype train is.
No, just that they started. They were, in the beginning, they were like the only ones doing like super optimized AI stuff. Before it was like a hype thing, so everybody started building on their platform.
Yeah,
and now it's pretty hard for everybody else to catch up.
But I mean, if you're talking about local models, we're not talking about the highest end things. I'm just thinking more of along lines of just trying to offload more stuff to my local device.
But yeah, definitely Apple has like the AI architecture stuff built in. They've been doing it forever, but it's just having the right model to run.
Would you use? I'm not real familiar with what runs best on Apple Silicon.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they have right now.
Yeah, I do think this is the year more people are going to be doing that with the M line coming out, and and I think that the Mac Mini, I think, is actually a big reason why. Because as I said, I just see a guy made a cool video where he took like 4 of them and he like linked them together.
I mean, if you wanted to build a cool professional tool, right, to just be like, hey, a simple example would be like, hey, I want to just I don't care about all the models out there. I just want to have a localized model for like, I take a character that I drew in, and give it a whole feed of it and drag and drop it into a thing, have it, run a model for which then I can also like preview test it a few times, do the things that you normally do, but like all the UI for those model things are like very like annoying and hard to deal with. I speak to Xcode on that. And then just be able to like generate a model from that, right? And then have that as my like, it's almost like its own, I don't know how to describe it. Like, let's take like Lightroom as an example. Like if I could generate a model from all that asset in there, right? Just like have an export an AI model from that, for which then I can like put it into my app and then like do things with it.
Yeah, I know that part of the problem with talking about this is that the AI marketing term is applied to everything. But on Apple Silicon the last couple of years, there's been more and more like so-called AI things being added that like were impossible to do on the Intel side. You brought up Lightroom, that's reminding me of this, because in the photography space, there's been quote-unquote AI models being put out by companies, including also integrating into things like Lightroom to do stuff like denoise especially. Like I've noticed that has improved so much in the last 2 years that often it's like I got a better camera if I put the effort in for post-processing anyway. So it's like I can take something that's really noisy and I can clean it up and it looks like a different, almost like a much better camera or I had a faster lens than I did, or had a bigger sensor. So, but I just wonder if that there are companies doing that, and I don't know how much of that is what kind of models, but I wonder if more hobbyists are going to, I don't know what the breakdown of hobbyists working on various kinds of quote unquote AI models is on the Mac Apple Silicon platform and the PC platform, just because like if you're really serious, you'd go to PC side and get the high end GPUs, but that's also expensive. And it's, I think, cheaper. How far can you go in Apple Silicon? That's what I would love to know. And I think 2025 maybe is a year we'll find out how far you can push it.
That is one thing that I actually am thinking is like, I hope. It's more of a hope than a...
This is what we are. This is the beginning of the year. It's all about hope.
It is all about hope. But it's more like, or at least I feel like it's a trend where like I think cost... like figuring out cost of savings in terms of like the services you use, the apps you use, and then like, what can I get away with free apps or open source apps? What can I do with like cheap hardware? What can I do with like 3D printed stuff? And then build a product around those things. It wouldn't necessarily be a product, it'd just be something you use, right? And then something that I feel like that is an interesting like space of just custom hardware that is specific for your needs or specific to building something very small and niche-y. I think that'll be kind of cool to see this year. One of the things that I'm trying to do more frequently is like saying, okay, I mean, I've always been this way, I guess, in a lot of ways, is like when I think about like when I think about a backend, my brain immediately goes, all right, how much is this going to cost, right? And usually, obviously, it's going to be cheap if like nobody's really using it, but I'm always thinking in the context of
cheap.
Like,
cheap in what terms? Like,
yeah,
I've been looking into, I don't know if we want to transition to like our own personal stuff, but last year I remember I said I was trying to get more into backend things, and I'm continuing that. So like the last 6 months, last half of the year, a lot of stuff happened. I had medical problems, I had personal stuff come up, and all my plans, of course, got completely blown up. So over the holiday break, though, I started focusing again on what I wanted to do project wise. One of the things I said last year was more back end stuff, and this year I want to get back to that. So I have my VPS, and I was like refreshing over the holidays, refreshing in my my mind how to do all the back end stuff.
Dumb question.
Where's that hosted?
DigitalOcean. I was refreshing how to set up Linux servers and admin them again.
People who don't know, what is a VPS?
It's a virtual private server. I have various websites I need to do. I have a ghost website, and I have to like update. I want to maybe do some back end stuff. And so here's the thing: The easiest thing to do is to do one of those, like do a SaaS or do one of those, services, like use some Amazon service, use some or something on top of an Amazon service. But the problem is all that stuff's expensive, and I'm cheap. I feel like it.
This is the trend. This is the trend.
And I think this is a trend, and because it's like, okay, so you're trading off time and frustration and stuff for, the little bit of money. So it's probably not worth it. I mean, I'll just say this up front. It's like not worth it for most vast majority of people. But in my case, I actually wanted to refresh my skill set here. And so I'm looking for opportunities. Yeah. So I set up a VPS, and I haven't set up like Docker versions of things on there yet. I did like my first pass was just kind of traditional VPS setup. Set up a VPS, lock it down, that kind of thing. But I was even looking into what's the easiest way of doing configuration as code, because we do that at work. And I'm like, I want to be able to spin up a VPS and have it configured a certain way and have that automated. Because one of the problems with doing it yourself is the amount of effort and tediousness. Like if you set up a VPS, you have to go in there. For instance, if you start from scratch, I remember I used to do this all the time. I used to do a lot of more Linux admin stuff. You have to set it up, then you have to like set up the SSH configuration, right? There's like very specific thing you have to do. Directory permissions. The key has to be, set up in the right spot. You have to have certain things set up in the SSH, config, like for just security reasons. There's certain firewall things you want to set up. And so you would just do these over and over again by hand if you didn't have any kind of automation system. And I'm like, I don't want to do that myself. I want to do it like once and have it automated. And then on top of that, nowadays you'd use Docker to install most things anyway. But I was looking at like configuration, and I want to run a couple of, I want to update my website. And I was thinking about maybe doing it with Ghost again. I have a really old version of Ghost because I want to set up like newsletter and that kind of thing. And I did it once already, and it's a gigantic. I do not recommend doing self-hosted Ghost, by the way, because it's a gigantic pain in the ass to set it up and run it and everything. And it's mostly because of the email thing, because you have to set up Mailgun, and it's a little finicky. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at the back-end stuff.
So this year is a lot of back-end for you. Your side
Two
projects.
Things. Two things. Yeah, there's the back end stuff. Yes, I need some websites set up. I have some ideas for that, and I have like a personal website I need to set up, and I wanted to jump on the newsletter bandwagon, all that kind of crap. But the other half of that is I wanted to work on some small apps. I had things in progress last year before my life got all out of whack. So, I was looking at what Azam was doing recently. And he's making these little small apps. I'm like, yeah, that might be a good idea. At first I was like, let me do one a week. And I was like, okay, that's insane. Let's do one a month. That's still too much. Now I'm like 2 or 3. Maybe I can do 2 or 3. A quarter would be nice. But like I'm looking for like really, really small things to do. Maybe one of them we'll do together. We talked about that offline, Coulter and I. But
yeah, I've been talking about that for a while now. But
I have like half finished stuff.
We should get back to doing stuff as a group.
We were talking about doing a fitness app, Aaron. So we were like, I know Aaron has been talking about something like that.
I've been doing a lot more fitness stuff. I mean, yeah. I'd like a little.
I need to figure out what the product is. So that's part of the process.
What's a good?
Oh, go ahead.
A running app. Or like I'm doing a lot of. I'm doing more like running and exercising in general. So simple.
What info are you looking for in your running app?
I actually don't want that much. I mean, I know some of this is like in health and stuff. My problem with all the health app and everything is it's not a great user interface for finding this stuff. But I kind of just want very basic stuff, and I'm sure it exists already. But so what? I just wanted to see like where I ran, and I want to know like the basic statistics of it that you can get like when the Apple Watch will give you like your time through it. But I just want like it to not be buried in health or the fitness app or what I mean. It's like I don't know. I just want a really simple page. Just like here it is. Here's my info. Just the basic stuff's already in there, just displayed better. It's not that hard.
I guess you should try out Strava and then go from there, because they're kind of top of the game.
Yeah, they are the ones. They are, but we're
just to see what. Yeah, but just to like see what's.
See what
yeah.
Well, that's a good. Or is that something is the thing that he's looking for?
Well, Strava does it. what I think, Aaron, I think it's a good point is that what we can do, or what you can do in general, if you want to make some apps, is you don't have to come up with an original idea. You can just literally copy what exists, especially if you're just doing it for your own edification or something. Just like take an existing app and literally copy part of it, not like maybe literally make it look like that, but like the feature, like say I want it to do this, 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 and this, and then you make that, and then you have something to compare it to.
Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to figure out. What are the features that we actually need?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on who you are. Like I'm saying, I'm very beginner focused.
I assume you need like a watch interface or a watch extension. You need
you need that.
So let me point out, this is actually a good one because
I
Aaron,
so.
I tried. I mean, this is a different watch app. Like this was like a couch to 5K program thing, and the watch app was terrible, and it didn't really work right, and like I couldn't get the audio like for music or podcast or something to play at the same time the watch app was doing things, and because it was supposed to like tell you verbally when you were supposed to start walking and running, whatever, based on the day of the week you were, like, and it just didn't work right. And that was just, I only tried the one, but it was like a highly rated app, and I was like, it just didn't work right, and so I stopped. So I went back to using Apple, just a built-in Apple Fitness watch app, just to start a run or whatever. And
it's a good place to start.
And so I've been doing that, and at least it's reliably. Oh, the other thing was that watch app like didn't record the run. That was like one of the things. It was activated on my wrist, and it said it recorded everything, but then I look at the data and it wasn't there. So I was like, I don't know what happened, but I need it to be reliable. Otherwise, what's the use? But yeah, we could do a fitness app. But I want to do something small. I have a couple of ideas. I'm not going to go into them now on this. But I'm thinking really small, like Azam's whole thing. What did he come out with?
He did one that was which one did he do?
Well, he's done a bunch. He's done several of them.
He's done a bunch. I mean, there was one that was like he was talking about doing, which was like 2 points. Like
that one was cool.
This is my location. This is your location, and then he finds like the halfway point that you can
like. If we wanted to have lunch together, 3 of us, what's the spot that's equidistant-ish from the 3 of us?
Yeah, something like that. And he also, I think his first one that he actually released was one where you can kind of for freelancers or people consultants where you say, okay, this is my hourly rate, and based on what you type in for one of them, it will adjust. It will create like what my weekly and my monthly and my yearly would be. So this kind of really simple, almost like one screen type of app might be a good place to have multiple of them come out in the year. And I love how I was looking at, because I was looking at Apple's backend this week again, and I'm just like, God damn it, Apple! They just keep making it more friction to put things out. You know, it's like more requirements. You know, now you got to have more stuff ready to go in order to deploy things anymore. You got to have a privacy policy. You got to have this thing. You got to have the screenshots. You got to have this, and it's like, it makes it harder to do like a little hobby app. You just want to do it. Yeah. But what's sad is like it's still probably the easiest process. Yeah. I know, that's what I was thinking too. Compared to like Steam or something like that, where they like you have to have like screenshots for like all these different versions. Right. No, they have to be fair to Apple, they have improved like the requirements, so now you can use like PDFs. I think you don't have to make like, you can have like one app icon and gets resized for things. Remember, you used to have like 50 different like versions or whatever. I mean, stuff like that. The beauty of Sketch was like you can do the clean export of that and have that templated out. But, I mean, that was one of my draws. But what about you guys? What are you guys like looking at to do? All right, well, you can go, Aaron.
No, other than the fitness app, I don't really know, because last year I had a bunch of plans and none of them happened. Well, that's why this is the hope and dreams. So this is the one. This is the one. This is the one that we can. Yeah, fitness is fine, because I've been getting into fitness more. I've been losing weight and get exercise and stuff, and I might even be running on my little walking treadmill here. It only goes up to 6 miles an hour, so it's not really running, but it's slow. I can get my heart rate up at this point in my fitness journey enough that I can run on that thing for like indefinitely. Yeah, I think because it's like freaking cold outside, man. Jeez, yeah. It's not as cold as it was. Like I was going outside when it was like 30 degrees or less, but then it was like 20. With a wind chill, and I was like, I think I'll just do something else. I don't even mind the fact that it's cold or not. Just be consistent. Try running. Well, try staying outside for like at least 30 minutes in this, and it's like with any exposed skin. Yeah, I was like, yeah. Aaron, you're hardcore, right? You're running in the cold. No, I got my indoor bike set up. Oh, you know what? That's what I need, to get a bike. A bike would be great. Nice. Yeah. I haven't had a bike in a while. Last time I had one,
I found it in the trash.
Is that a real bike or?
No, I have a real bike, which I don't know if it works well, but anyway, I had it was like a indoor bike. What do we call these things, Aaron? What are the names for the exercise bikes? They have like a, I don't know. It was an old exercise bike. It was like one of those ones where it doesn't look like a bike. I think it would look like a, I don't know. It was like look like from the 80s. Someone was like throwing it out.
Does it have like a big like
like a big
the front or something like that? It was like
and so
frame.
I had this thing. We found it in the trash. Someone was throwing it out, and I had it, and I used it, and it was terrible, but it was free. Exercise is exercise, right? So I was using this thing, and then it broke while I was using it. I was like, oh, that's why they threw it out. But like the I don't know, like a chain or something, or the equivalent was it came off. I couldn't fix it.
How much would an exercise bike, like an average exercise bike, be these days?
Well, that don't depends.
It depends what you're trying to do.
A couple hundred. I checked Amazon last year. I think early last year.
I'm not looking for Peloton here. Just a simple.
No, like a knockoff Peloton. It was like a few $100, honestly.
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's not that much anymore. You can get. I think it was like $400 or something at the time. I was looking at it
Even if it was one where you can like sync your phone, right, so that you can do like I don't know how that would work, but like basically you do run a session and you just attach your phone to the front. It would give you the whole.
You know what? I think
exercise.
I think if you tell the Apple Watch, we're just this whole episode just gone off the rails. But if you tell the
fitness
Apple,
now, we're a fitness podcast.
We're a fitness podcast. We're a fitness podcast. By 2 of the 3 hosts know nothing.
This is your show now, Aaron.
But I'm saying if you tell the Apple Watch like I'm doing like an indoor bike ride or something, I think that might be an option there. I think what it does is it has some algorithm to kind of guesstimate based on your heart rate, how many calories and stuff it thinks you're doing, because it doesn't have a sensor, like, and if you're riding a bike, the watch isn't going to have much data, I guess, unless
it depends what bike you're riding.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Unless the bike is telling it, giving information.
That's so there might be an opportunity there.
This is now the Aaron Fitness Podcast. So Aaron, what is next on the Aaron Fitness Podcast agenda? What do we want for the new year? What's a dietary plan for the beginner exerciser in your life?
I'm trying to figure out how to like pull off 25 push-ups in one go.
I don't know about any of those things.
I'm joking, but
yeah, I have a pull-up bar. Maybe I can I can't do 25 pull-ups.
I guess I'll round it up and then we can kind of end our little podcast here. But basically, my goal is to continue on my Godot game journey. So originally, I was going to try to pull off like one game a month.
Make a game called Godot. Do it.
Godot.
Dare you?
Yes.
Godot on the Godot platform.
Which is hilarious because like I think that's how it's pronounced. Is supposed to be pronounced, but anyway. Godot. Yeah.
I will never pronounce it that way.
Don't come at me. This is a whole GIF argument that I don't care to get into. You tell me what it means and I'll say it the right way. The idea was initially like, oh, I'll make a game a month, and I was like, no, that's crazy. I know how painful. Yeah, and I know how stupid that idea is. So I'm trying to be still aggressive, but not too aggressive. So five in the whole year. Now,
all I heard was one impossible number and then another slightly smaller possible number.
No, it is possible because it doesn't include these are all prototypes. Let's be clear. They're not going to be released.
In the store?
Not in the store. The whole point is just build like 5 vertical slices.
Okay, just running on your device.
Just running on my device.
See, that's much more reasonable.
Post it on itch. Like maybe it will be public just to like say that it's done, but it'll be like on itch.io or something like in a game jam kind of thing. But the whole point is like to get
these are Mac apps.
Get back into a rhythm that I used to do.
So are you going to concept them all out at once, or are you going to do one at a time?
One at a time. I'm not like because I think there's a joy in the, fluidity of I guess the fluid nature of making games.
Yeah.
If you try to think too hard about how it's going to be, you're never going to do it.
I think we should make like one thing this year that also has a very simple backend, just so we have like complete
Swift
full
on
stack.
server.
Yes, there we go. We could do Swift on server as part of this. Let's just add more requirements so that we definitely never get it done.
Why don't we have like an a localized AI model on the server?
Yes, there we go. Figure out how to set up that. How do we pay for it?
We could definitely do that. It's just figuring out what kind of thing we could actually run. Yeah. That's useful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's my thought. I'm just derailing this. If you're doing like a fitness app or something, one thing you could do is a very simple backend that just lets you share your run, It just creates a link, creates a URL, something that works in iMessage and stuff. It's not really much of a backend, but you know what I mean? Like you can just generate the URL and give it to people. Like that's the kind of thing I'm thinking, like something that's simple. We can write it in Node or whatever we need to write in or Swift on server.
It would be kind of funny to see how quote unquote viral the idea would be, to be like, hey, if we could figure out a way to make it very easy to do a copy paste of like a run and like the stat around the run.
I mean,
that'll be
Strava already does this.
Strava does this. Yeah. Everything we think of, Strava did 5 years ago.
Okay, let's take what Strava did and like make it dumber.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want I want my running app to be like Strava, but dumber.
If you're a fitness, Strava's the pro, and I just want dumb.
Well, once they put those AI features in, I'm like, oh, I need an alternative.
Well, it's funny. I had the same thing, not because of AI features, but the same thing just because of my little fasting app. Just because I'm like, every time I open the damn thing, it's like upselling me on shit. Like I don't want to buy any service from you. You're a timer. I just want you to count up, and like I just want you to count. All you need to do is literally count and tell me when you hit a number. Like I don't want you to upsell me things. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you got to eat, app developers, whoever makes it. I understand that. I'm not against charging things, but I just don't want what you're selling, and it's just getting increasingly obnoxious about it, upselling. So I was like, I should just make my own, and then my life blew up a little bit. So then I got sick, and then I didn't.
Well, maybe as a to do for next time, we should come up with at least one idea that is so small and dumb, like one feature that we would want to build for ourselves, not for anybody else, and just say, okay, that's the thing that I want to build, because at least we would find use for it.
2025, the year of dumb apps.
Yes, here we come. So I'm gonna end it here for us. That's all we have for today. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, and contact info. If you're feeling generous, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform.
As long as it's 5-star.
As long as it's 5-star, yeah. Key thing there. And a nice comment, too. It would be nice. And share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing. Steve, did you check out my new Nintendo Switch case?
I did not.
It really makes a statement, don't you think?
What? Yes. Jesus Christ. Like, how are these getting worse? Did you generate this with ChatGPT?
Oh, this was a human-generated one. Who may have generated through ChatGPT, but there you go.
God, that's funny.
Well, till next time. Good luck on your own developer journey. We will cheer for you always. Let's take what Strava did and like make it dumber.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what I want.